Dream a little dream of me. Welcome kindreds, it's Jessica the Story Witch, and this is video number 4 of this series about bullet journaling, and that is leading up to doing our bullet journal live sessions all together. And this video is going to be about goal setting. And I know this kind of seems like a very mundane, perhaps not a magical topic at all, but you know, goals, intentions, affirmations, they all very much kind of layered up and align with each other, and that's what I want to talk about really. In the way that I like to do my goal setting, I definitely find a magical process, and I'm hoping that by kind of explaining my way of doing it, that might be useful for you. I know I've learned lots about this from other people, like Leonie Dawson. I was doing her planners for a while, a few years back now, and Susanna Conway, and who else? There's a few really great writers about kind of goal setting and things like that, and I will link them down below, because I'm also going to make like a PDF thing to go with this video, or Google Docs, or however, I don't know how I'm going to do it, that will make it so you can kind of click it. I think probably a Google Doc perhaps that you can click on, that goes with this video, which has the kind of the actual steps and process that I go through to set my goals. This might not be interesting to you, in which case, you know, you can totally skip this section, and when we do the lives you can skip the goal section. But I've definitely found that it's something that keeps me on track. It's also really cool to like look back on and see how you have achieved your goals, or if your priorities have shifted and your goals are no longer the same, and like looking back on previous years as well. So yeah, if you are kind of thinking about it, I would definitely encourage you to at least give it a try and see how it kind of sits with you. I think it's Leonie Dawson who says goals are just dreams with deadlines. That might be somebody else, but I know I've read her kind of talk about it before. So yeah, it makes a big difference to it manifests it, you know. It's taking it from that kind of idea in your head of, oh yeah, that would be nice, I wish that would happen, to making it like, no, then I'm going to do this now, or I'm going to do this by the end of the year. You know, that's a really powerful manifestation. So yeah, that's how I kind of see goals. And my process is one of, first of all, looking back on the previous year. So if you've already been planning, if you're already bullet journaling or any sort of journaling, or doing any kind of like annual planning or anything like that, you will have the information to look back on for last year. But if this is your first year of planning, then and if you've got that information already, the absolute best way I've found of kind of looking back over the year is to just go through your photos you've taken. I mean, perhaps this wouldn't work if you didn't have like a smartphone or whatever. Like, I take my phone out and I take photos of things that we're doing or things that I've seen. I also take photos to go with like the thumbnails for my videos, which is a good point actually, because I don't think I've been taking any of these for this series, so I'll have to remember to do that. But it's, when you look back through, you remember things, or I certainly do, about the year that perhaps I would not have remembered without having that kind of photograph to jog my memory. So I love it. On my laptop, because it feeds into my phone kind of pushes the photos to my laptop, so I can make it play like a slideshow of the year. And like often that takes over an hour and I'm just sitting there, and some of the photos are obviously rubbish, and like my daughter likes to take my phone, and sometimes my son will take my phone and they'll take like loads of random photos of like nothing, but sometimes they'll take really cool photos as well that I haven't even known about, so I'll see those then kind of mingled in with the photos that I've taken as well. And it's a really good way of looking back on the year in a kind of celebratory way, and seeing what you've done, you know, where you've been, the people that you've connected with, the places that you've been to, the things you've learned, and all that kind of good stuff. So it's a really cool way, I find, of looking back over the year and just getting a feel of what that year was about. Like, were you mainly home? Were you mainly working? You know, what was your focus for that year? What was it that was important that year? And, you know, that won't necessarily be the same thing throughout the whole year either. Things do change, obviously, as the course of the year goes on. And some years, you know, some really shit things will happen, awful things, and you will have to reflect back on those as well, and depending on what those things are, you know, it won't be something that will necessarily be resolved by looking back on it. You know, some things obviously affect us for far, far longer than the course of a year. So the good and the bad and the ugly, you can look back on all of those things using your photos or using whatever it is that you have got, you know, written down or whatever to do that. But yeah, I find the photos in addition to the written stuff is a fantastic way of doing it. And then I like to do a kind of a farewell to the year kind of thing, you know. So I'll sort of identify those things which have perhaps bogged me down that year, or have not felt like kind of in alignment with me that year, or which perhaps were in alignment with me at the start of the year, but by the end of the year I feel like I'm kind of moved on from those things. And I like to kind of bid farewell to those things, and then find those things which I am still working on, or I've started to be excited about, which I'm going to be taking forward to the following year. So, you know, that could be projects, it could be certain relationships, it's all sorts of stuff, you know, you can look at. And if you use tarot or any other kind of divination, you can obviously use those tools as well to help you assess the things that you can kind of leave behind and the things you're going to be bringing forward. So, you know, they're all good tools. There's loads of like kind of end of year spreads that can help with that kind of reflective process, but definitely actually reflect on what you've been doing as well. So yeah, I like to do that and kind of reflect on the year and kind of say farewell to it. Like I say, kind of thank you for all the learning that you have given me, and now I'm released this and I'm ready to move on to the following year, kind of free and unburdened, you know, or as much as you can be given whatever the events were of that particular year. And then I will make a list of all the things that I want to do, see, visit, buy, be like, embody the following year. And I literally will just go, I'll just make, not in my journal, I do this like just on paper, everything, anything and everything, you know, that I can think of, I'll just write it down. And usually you'll get like loads of stuff, or you might find first of all that nothing very much, you're like, I don't even know what I want to do or be, or, you know, and often that's because we're kind of holding ourselves back a little bit. So you can just let yourself go, you know, and just try and light a candle, get some incense going, do a bit of kind of whatever it is that gets you in the zone, like do a bit of drumming or, you know, a bit of meditation, and then just kind of just let it all pour out. And then I like to just pop that away for a little while, for a couple of days or a week or whatever. And then when I come back to it, I like to look at it again and go through and like cross out all the things which were things that I felt I should be doing rather than things I actually want to do. And the way I kind of test it is like I read the thing, and if I'm like excited to do it, then I'll keep it. And if I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'll be like, oh okay, this feels more like a should than a want to. And sometimes those shoulds are things like exercise more and stuff like that, which are obviously things that I should be doing. And it's normally, there's a thing within, sometimes it's just straightforward, like it is a should, like I should make more effort with a particular person or something. And you can think that through and think, well, perhaps it's not time for that. Perhaps it's time to actually just not have that person in your life anymore, you know, or sometimes it's good to make kind of tough decisions like that to kind of move things on. But some of the shoulds are a little bit more ambiguous, and they are things that really would be good for you. So sometimes it's a case of reframing those things to make them more appealing to you. Like, what is it about exercising that would be good? And usually that comes down to health, you know. And so then I'll try and reframe the things that I've written into more like, this year I will have a strong, healthy body, something like that, you know. So it all sounds really cheesy, but I find reframing things in that way it makes it more appealing, you know, like, or even like I want to look good. You know, be honest about it. No one else is going to need to see these goals apart from you. So just be honest about those things. And I have found from looking back on my goals from previous years that I tend to have themes of things which I am always coming back to. So even though the actual specifics of the goals change, my important things to me are very much like my kind of immediate environment, so like my family, my home, and the kind of immediate community around me. I'm always wanting to kind of do more and to experience more and connect more with that immediate kind of community. So that is really important to me. And I think that's probably where my like kind of Taurian moon comes into it. It's that kind of rootedness to this place that I'm in. So I know now that I can kind of expect those kind of goals to be there. And I also have a call to communicate via writing and also now via YouTube. And so I expect there to be kind of like a bunch of goals, usually around kind of communication and also around learning and kind of expanding myself in that kind of personal growth kind of way. So I expect there to be like a bunch of things around that kind of theme. And also then I tend to have a goals around my personal health and my own kind of personal practices and things. So that's a kind of like more personal set of goals as well. So, and I like how it does kind of, I think it's kind of personal and then a kind of slightly bigger sphere, and then obviously the kind of teaching and learning kind of thing is like an even bigger sphere again. So that is just how it's worked out for me. I also find that there will be in my goals, sometimes there will be certain things that are like easy to cross off once. So it's like, you know, I want to buy this, or I want to go to this place, and like obviously once you've been there or done that, you can cross that off, and that probably makes for a better goal in some respects because it's easy to cross off. But I have found that I also need those kind of goals that you don't really get to cross off. You know, it's more of a process rather than a once off thing, but it can be helpful to separate the one off, I can tick these off goals from the process goals, because otherwise it can be frustrating when you're kind of looking back at your like list and being like, I can't tick that off yet, I can't tick that off yet, I can't tick that off. And the reason you can't tick them off is not because you're not doing them, but it's because it was an ongoing goal in the first place. For example, like this year for me, I wanted to go outside every day. Now I have not gone out, I mean I have physically gone outside every day, but like literally to walk back and forth to the car or something, no, not being outside, which is really, if I'd been articulating that goal really well, it was more out that being outside on the land, you know, that was what I wanted for that goal. So, but I have done that much more this year because it is my goal. So at the end of the year, likely, because I feel like I've been tracking it and I've been keeping field notes of when I've been going out and what I've been doing, I will allow myself to tick that goal off at the end of the year, and I will most likely carry that forward because I've definitely felt the benefits of that. I knew it was going to be something really useful and powerful for me, so I'm going to be carrying that forward into next year. That's one of those things I was talking about, you know, like some of the things you bring forward, some of the things you're like, yes, I've done that now and I can park that, you know. So I hope this is all making sense and not just like a very self-absorbed ramble about my own goals. I want this obviously to be about you guys and what you want to achieve. And so yeah, like make that list, put it to one side, pull it back out a little while later, and either cross off or reframe anything that is a should until all of your goals feel sparkly and exciting. The process of them might not feel sparkly and exciting, so it might not be like, if it was something like have a sexy body, then what you have to do to get, don't worry about that for now, that might not feel sparkly and exciting, but the image of the sexy body should feel sparkly and exciting, you know. So make them all sparkly and exciting, so find a way of making them like that. As to number of goals, I know like some people say you should only have like a very small number. That's tricky because some of them, like I said, if they're really quick, easy things to cross off, like it might be like visit the seaside this year, or collect rainwater, or I don't know, you know, those kind of quick, not necessarily quick things, but things that you will do once and cross off. You could have many more of those because they're very easy to kind of tackle, you know. But the ones that are like ongoing, I would recommend definitely only having 12, so you can like really focus on them and keep it a little bit more concise. You'll have to work out what it is that works for you. So I'm kind of offering my process, and you'll take it and you can change it. You know, that's what I found by the people who've inspired me. I've used their materials, but I found, you know, well, that bit works, but that bit doesn't work. And so I've tweaked it around to suit me, and you'll do the same thing. You know, you'll be like, well, no, that bit's not good for me. I'll do it like this. So I'm going to make a PDF of the sort of questions I find it useful to ask myself and the kind of steps I go through. And like I said, try and make it available as a document that goes with this video. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'll figure it out. And hopefully that'll be useful. So yeah, I think that was all I had to say about goals and goal setting. It is going to form part of the annual setup that I'll be doing when we do the lives. But like I said, you can skip that if you don't want to, or you can do it and you'll be filling in your own goals. And I was thinking about this, some of the things are probably like a little bit personal. I don't tend to like block off any of my diaries when I show my pages. I probably should, but you know, if it's something particularly personal, I usually paperclip it, but I'll share as much of it as I possibly can with you guys during the lives. If not, then I'll probably say, well, I'll leave a little bit of space for the ones I know I'm going to be writing in perhaps later. And obviously you can keep yours private as well if you want to. Nobody needs to be looking at it if you don't want them to. So I hope that all makes sense. Any questions, pop them down below, and I will see you very soon with the next video. Warmest blessings, guys.